23 months later, would I recommend SpaceX Starlink to you? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. Today, we have a little bit of fireside. That smokiness, so good, especially since it's getting cold out. Cold in Florida. It's 55. I'm freezing. Don't hate. If you're in a very cold climate somewhere, come move down. We'll take you. Anyways, guys, today we're going to be hanging out, talking real talk. 23 months I've had SpaceX Starlink, and I want to give you my unbiased review on it. I've been talking a lot about SpaceX Starlink because it has been revolutionary. It has been a game changer for me and my family. But is it worth it? All right. It's not cheap. It's not as fast as it once was. There's some things that have changed. Things are getting better. Some things got worse. And I want to go through all of it with you. So if you are new, thank you for being here. If you are old, thank you for being old. If you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. If you enjoy this content, even in the least, throw it a thumbs up. That would be helpful. Tell your friends, family, colleagues, tell everybody. Reddit, Facebook, wherever you frequent. Let them know about the channel. Maybe we can grow this damn thing. Also, if you want more Starlink content, I put together a playlist just for you. I'll put a link right over here. So when you're done watching this video, go check it out. There's like 202 videos, all helpful how-tos, tips, tricks, all kinds of great goodness in there. Most important thing is about the why. I tell you how, but I also tell you why. That's what this channel is all about, is the why and being unbiased. Can't find that too much today. Anyways, I digress. Also, if you just want to say thank you for all of my hard work, there's a little thank you button. Click on that, give $1 or $2 if you like. If not, that's fine too. Consider becoming a member of the channel. That would be even better. Also, if you're looking for a VPN or if you need to do port forwarding or get a static IP address, because some companies like Starlink do not give you them or offer port forwarding, check out PureVPN. The nice folks over there gave us a promo code, which is JCristina, or you could use my link, which is jcristina.com/VPN. Once again, jcristina.com/VPN. You'll get 15% extra off. So now that all the housekeeping is out of the way, let's get into this. It's going to be maybe a little bit of a longer video because I want to just give you the information without being stuffy about it. I'm just going to tell you exactly what's going on. The reason being, all right, because I think that that's important. If I just tell you, oh yeah, you should get it. Well, why? Or nah, you should stay away. Well, give me the reason. Once again, this channel is all about the why. That is the most important thing because then you can make an educated decision for yourself. You don't need some guy on YouTube telling you anything. You can decide. So let me start out by saying I put in a request, a down payment for Starlink, February of 2021, just to give you an idea. 2021, $99. I put down my money and I said, listen, send it to me when it's available. Well, it wasn't until November when Starlink, SpaceX, contacted me and said, hey, your kit is ready. You're no longer on the waiting list. You can get the system. I was so excited. I can't even tell you how excited I was. I said, you know what? Here is the rest of my money. $488 of the rest of my money. And within about 2 or 3 days, the entire kit showed up on my doorstep. Actually, it showed up at the end of my driveway because my FedEx driver sucks. I'm not kidding. I'm on 5 acres. The driveway is probably about 250 feet long, and it was at the end, at the very end. Anyone could have just picked it up, threw it in the back of their car, and been gone. If I wasn't looking, I probably wouldn't have Starlink. Anyways, so I got this Starlink in and I said, you know what, let's go ahead and install it. I opened it all up. I was so excited to do it. I said, damn, there's things that are missing. And because of that fact is one of the reasons why I created this whole Starlink thing on this channel. Remember, this channel is all about Starlink, but it's also about video, photo, and tech. So the Starlink thing came later once I ended up getting Starlink. It's always been about technology as well as photo and video. Because I am a DP or a director of photography, I do a lot of camera work. There's a lot of different things that I do, as well as editing and all the rest of this stuff, like developing and patenting products. But anyways, so I created this whole thing because I did not have everything that I needed. And I said, you know what? Someone else out there is probably going to do the same damn thing that I did, order this thing, and then think that they're going to install it, and they can't. So some of the things that I forgot was the Starlink adapter. I call it the dongle, the Ethernet adapter. You needed that because if you didn't have it, you cannot connect Starlink into your local area network, your LAN. You need to have that dongle. I didn't order it, right? So I had to order that. I also had to order the proper dish mount. It comes with a mount, but that mount is like for putting on top of a table or on the floor or something. I wanted to mount it to the side of the eave, side of the building. So I had to order the exact mount that actually fits. So I did a whole video on that. Of course, I also needed the wiring, the routing kit to go and drill through a concrete block to get the wire to the other side of the wall, right? And a bunch of installation tools and accessories and a lot of other things that we needed. So these are the reasons why I started doing these videos once again, so you don't have the same problem that I did. Now, when we first started out, it was $99 per month. And I thought that was awesome for what we were getting. Now, as a point of reference, because I think reference is very important. When you listen to someone on the other side of YouTube, where are they coming from? Where is their mindset? Why are they saying the things that they do? So I do think point of reference is very, very important. Even when you watch news today, what is their point of reference? What is their angle, so to speak? That gives you an idea of how to take the information that you're receiving. Anyways, I was using AT&T's DSL for many, many, many years. And then they moved us over to Uverse, which sucked as well. So I was receiving about 7 megabits down and approximately 7.7 megabits up. Yes, not 1 megabit up. 0.7 megabits up. And AT&T came to me and say, hey, listen, we're going to fix this for you. We're going to give you 2 lines, not 1, and we're going to bond them together. You're going to get double the speed. And I did that. And I ended up with 15 megabits down and 1.5 megabits up. It's basically unusable. All right. That's what we have for decades. And then finally, when SpaceX Starlink came, and now I was seeing the speeds that we were getting once we had this whole thing set up, well, the $99 didn't seem that much anymore. Well, the $99 turned into $110 after about 6 months. The $110 turned to $120 6 months later after that, so on and so forth. The kits went from $4.99 to $5.99. So the price is continuously going up. But I understand that because I was in at the very beginning when we were like at beta times. I was like the first, let's say version 2 dish out there. I think I have dish number 2000, 2005, something like that. Literally from the beginning. When I started with SpaceX Starlink, there was about 100,000 to 120,000 customers worldwide. Now there's over 2 million. Just to give you an idea, a scope on how fast this project, Elon's project, has been growing. And at this point, it is turning into a cash cow. And I do believe, you can quote me on this, SpaceX Starlink will be the primary breadwinner for all of Elon Musk's companies. That is my personal opinion. All right, write it down. You tell me if I'm right in 5-10 years. Okay, I really do believe that I will be right. But anyways, we're now paying $120. Now, there is a few people out there, a very small percentage of people that are paying $90 per month instead of $120. The reason behind that is congestion. There is less congestion in certain areas, so they're able to provide the service because no one's using the satellites over those areas anyways. So they give the service at $90 instead of the $120. And I'm okay with that. I would like to see the price come down a little bit. Now, the one thing that I wanted, and I'm sure you want too, is unlimited internet. All right, unlimited Not throttled, not capped, not a limit, not when I get to a certain amount and then I have to buy more or anything like that, right? There's a lot of telcos like that, AT&T, Verizon, you have a lot of them where you go in there with a certain set amount of how much you can use. And once you hit that allotment, you need to pay extra per gigabyte, per terabyte, or however they do it. Well, SpaceX Starlink didn't do it that way. It was said to be 100 unlimited from the very beginning. It continued that way for quite some time. And then all of a sudden, things started changing. There was people out there saying that something was coming in the pipe, and what it was a limit, a data cap. So instead of being unlimited, we would have a data cap of 1 terabyte as a residential user, 1 terabyte, and then after that set allotment, you could buy priority coverage or priority data, the faster speed coverage if you would like. If not, they would just keep you on a standard. So this was a thing that really didn't sit well with people. They wanted no limit and they did not want to be throttled. They didn't want a data cap. So there was a lot of blowback from this thought process that came out of SpaceX. And they ended up reneging on it. They walked that back and said, you know what? Mea culpa. We're not going to do it. There is going to be no limits. We're going to put more satellites up there. We're going to put them up there quicker, and we're going to get more data out there that we don't have to throttle it so that everyone gets some. Because remember, some people don't understand this, but there's a finite amount of data available. And in each node where these satellites are coming over, each node, there is a specific amount of connections that can be made. And each connection is allotted a certain amount, because if they're not, then some people are going to get extremely slow speeds and then other people will get extremely fast. So there needs to be some type of limitation going on, right? So I think that is what's currently going on. They don't say that is what they're doing, but they have to, because once again, there's only so much that you can do. If you have a pie and you cut it into 8 pieces, but you have 10 people, well, either 2 people are not going to get pie at all, or you're going to have to take some of those slices and cut them in half. Or you're going to have to take the full 8 pieces and instead of cutting them into 8, cutting them into 10 so everyone gets a smaller piece of a pie. That is what they're doing. And that's the reason why they slow people down. But I digress. The point of the matter here is there is absolutely no data limit when it comes to SpaceX Starlink unless you're using aviation, maritime, business, or some type of roaming like a mobility. Now, you're still going to have unlimited data, which is great, but you're going to have priority or standard data speeds. Nothing else changes. You still get unlimited, as much as you can eat. Just download all day long your torrents and you'll be fine. But your speed will be different based on how much data you use. A perfect example is like with mobility. You can get a 50 gigabyte plan, a 1 terabyte plan, a 5 terabyte plan. Basically, once you get to that plan limit, let's say it's 1 terabyte. Once you get to that 1 terabyte, your speeds are going to slow down from priority speed, priority access, down to just standard. You're still, once again, going to have unlimited, but you're going to go a little bit slower. If you want to keep on going faster, then you can purchase more priority, or you could wait to the end of your billing cycle. It resets everything, and then you'll have fast speeds all over again until you exceed that amount. Once again, there is no exceeding any amount when you're dealing with residential. You just get unlimited priority, and that's what it is. So that's kind of nice. So a lot of you guys are going to ask me, well, Joe, what kind of speeds can I expect from SpaceX Starlink? What are those speeds? And that is a really good question. Now, when I first started back in, November of 2021, I was getting 300 to 310 megabits down and anywhere from about 40 to 50 megabits up. That is fast. That is extremely fast. Now imagine me coming from 1.5 meg up and going to 50, even 40 meg up, literally 30 times the speed. The same thing with the down speed. I came from, let's say, 15 megabits up, 10 sometimes, to 300. It's crazy. That is a massive speed difference compared to what I was getting before. Well, are those speeds continuing? And the answer is no. The speeds over time have gotten slower and slower and slower. Why is that? Well, we went from, once again, 100,000 people to 2 million people. So once again, you have to cut that pie, and they've been cutting the shit out of the pie. The only way for them not to cut the pie into more and more and more smaller and smaller and smaller pieces is simply by adding more and more satellites, getting more connectivity. And that's what they're working on right now. So what are the speeds that I'm getting right now? Well, I'm getting right around 150 to 180 megabits down and about 10 to 20 megabits up. That is during, let's say, nighttime, when there's not a lot of people on the system. Now, during the day, things are not as good. During the day, I'm getting anywhere from about 80 to about 120 megabits down and anywhere from about 8 to about 15 megabits up. Definitely a lot slower than the 300 that I used to get. Now I'm sometimes under 100. There is a big difference. So while the speeds were really good at the very beginning, as of now, well, they're definitely a lot slower than they were. I believe now I would say that instead of them being more consistent, they're becoming more inconsistent, more variable. And it really has to do with congestion and what is going on in the area. Now, I live very close to a KOA, to a park, where there's a campground and there's a lot of RVers, a lot of people that come and camp in the location. And during the holidays, I know that my speeds definitely get slower. Why is that? Well, it makes sense, right? All of a sudden, my node went from, let's say, 100 people using Starlink to 300 people. What happened to the damn pie? They had to cut the hell out of it, right? So I'm going to be going slower. And that is exactly what ends up happening. Now, once they put more and more satellites up there, we're not going to have as much of this flux, right, that we see currently. So the question is, what is the future of SpaceX Starlink? And would I recommend it to new customers? And do I think it's worth the $120 or not? And after using the system for 23 months now, testing it daily, using it continuously, streaming with it, and doing everything else with it, squeezing the hell out of it, I would say the answer is, it depends. I know. It's hard to give a definitive answer, and like I said before, the reason being is I don't know your use case. For me, as you can see, I came from absolute shit DSL. Using SpaceX Starlink today is a godsend. It's revolutionary, all right? But for you, that might not be the case. If you have fat cable, as I call it, copper, or if you have fiber in your area, just don't even look at SpaceX Starlink. If you want to look at SpaceX Starlink, use it as a backup to your copper or to your fiber. So if it ever goes down, you have a backup with Starlink and it's non-terrestrial instead of terrestrial. That's not a bad idea. I'm all about backups. Remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is beneficial, right? Because then you actually have a good backup. I currently have 3 systems. I have SpaceX Starlink as my main, I have T-Mobile as my secondary, and that's with a good size MIMO antenna external to be able to get that coverage here because the tower is not very close to me. And then finally, I have my old AT&T that I just love to shit on. So I have 3. Just in case something goes sideways, I have non-terrestrial satellite, right? I have terrestrial, but through 5G, actually LTE. And then finally, I have terrestrial. I have in the ground copper from AT&T, which is slow as hell, but in case of emergency, I have it. So I do believe in redundancy, and I do believe in redundancy on multiple carriers. Because if one goes down and you have 2 of something, well, how does that help? A lot of you guys have asked me, should I get 2 Starlinks and then bind them together and combine them so I get faster speeds and all that? That's all great and all, but if one goes down, they both go down, right? For the most part. So once again, if you have fat cable available or you have fiber, I don't think Starlink is for you. Also, if you're looking for something that has extremely low latency, I'm talking about 5 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds. And if you don't know what latency is, I've done plenty of videos in that playlist. Go check it out. But if you're looking for something low latency because you want to do FPS stuff, first person shooters or something where you really need something that's extremely fast, very low latency, Starlink is probably not your gig either, because Starlink is satellite still. Even though those satellites are sitting at about 550 kilometers, which isn't bad, in comparison to HughesNet or Viasat, satellite internet 2, at 36,000 kilometers. Think about it, 36,000 compared to 550 kilometers. Being so close, we're still getting pretty good latency, pretty good milliseconds. So our ping from Starlink today is right around 35 to 45 milliseconds. Not bad. Remember, once again, our signal is coming from space. So it is not bad at all. So in my personal opinion, if you have HughesNet, if you have Viasat, if you have DSL, if you have Uverse, if you have a company that is continuously going down because there's one problem or another problem, I think SpaceX Starlink would be right for you. The other group of people that I think that Starlink would be absolutely perfect for is an RVer or someone that's traveling a lot, because Starlink does give you the ability to move that dish anywhere in your region, or if you pay up a little bit extra, anywhere on the globe, and be able to get high-speed internet access. That is massive. There is no other company that does that. That, along with aviation and maritime, if you have a boat or anything along those lines, I think SpaceX Starlink would be right for you. I think that you would enjoy it. And if you don't mind about 100 meg down and 10 megabit up, this is a really good solution. One thing to bear in mind: if you have a lot of rain in your area, since it is a satellite where you're pulling the signal through, the rain will definitely affect. Rain fade is a thing. Just like when you use Dish Network or you use DirecTV, it starts pouring, there's like a hurricane outside, and now you're watching the football game, it gets all pixelated and it's gone. Same type of thing with SpaceX Starlink. All of those little water molecules in the air act like reflecting mirrors, and it just makes an absolute mess of the signal. All right, so bear that in mind. If you have really bad weather, you might be out for those few minutes. Now, in regular rain, it's not a problem. You'll be able to cut through it. You might see some slower speeds, but you'll still be fine. But if it's a really bad storm, trust me, I'm in Florida, right? We get hurricanes and all kinds of just crazy ass weather here. It gets bad, and then the service is gone for sometimes 5-10 minutes. It really depends on how bad the storm is. So bear that in mind. But all in all, SpaceX Starlink is a really good internet service provider. Don't get it twisted. If you're looking for a company that you can call up 24 hours a day and say, hey, yeah, my crap's not working, can you do something? You're not going to get that, all right? There is like no phone support, email support, nothing. It all goes through a ticketing system. I think that's going to change as they start making more moolah. They're going to have to roll out some centers, some call centers where people can actually answer the damn phone. Starlink, do it. So that is an issue. But for the most part, there's no problems. So it just simply just works. Like mine, for example. I'm going to knock on wood right now. I've had it now for 23 months. It has never been returned, replaced, and I have the exact same dish, like I said, dish number 2000, let's call it. Never a problem once. Wait, one problem once, and that was the dongle, as I call it. The Ethernet adapter ended up burning up or something. I took it all apart and I showed you what was inside in a video. Once again, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. I also showed you how to fix the wires as well as these dongles and all the rest of the stuff. But once again, that's for another video. So that was the only problem. And the dongle is 25 bucks. I could buy like 5 or 10 of them. I'll just stick them into a drawer. I actually have 2 of them just in case. So it is what it is. That is the only thing during this entire time that went south. Now, what is the future, right? What is the future? I think that's an important question, because there's going to be people out there that say, you know what, is this a dying type of trend? Are people just getting on the bandwagon right now and it's just going to go into the dump and that's going to be the end of it and I'm going to be left holding the bag, so to speak? No. This system is going to get better and better and better over time. And the reason being is because of the breakneck speed in which Elon Musk, SpaceX, is launching new satellites. Not only launching new satellites, but launching better satellites. So we originally went with version 1.0 satellites that didn't have any communications on them on board when it comes to inter-satellite communications. They upgraded those to version 1.5s. Now those had lasers, so they could communicate from satellite to satellite, which was really cool. That was revolutionary. Now they have version 2.0 minis. They're the smaller compact version of the 2.0s that's supposed to have been launched months and months ago on the Starship. The Starship blew up and now we're waiting for the second launch. Yada, yada, yada. Eventually that's going to launch. And once it does, we're going to see the actual full-size version 2s get into space, or maybe version 3s, according to Elon Musk. Maybe they'll just rename them. The version 2 minis right now, just to give you an idea, have 4x the capacity, 4 times the capacity of the version 1.5s. So they are doing an amazing job. So every one that gets launched is the equivalent of them launching 4 of the old ones. So right now in the fairing on the top of one of those Falcon 9 rockets, they can accommodate, let's say 22, I believe. So every time they launch another one of these rockets out of Florida, Texas, wherever, when they launch these, they're putting 22 new satellites into orbit. 4x. That is the equivalent of 88 of the old ones every launch. Sometimes they will launch 2 in a week, sometimes 3 in a week. Do you see how fast this is progressing? Currently, there's about 5,000 satellites up there, and there's operational about 4,500, 4,600, somewhere right around there. And now we're seeing about 250 or so, 300 of the new versions. Those new versions also have higher speed lasers on there. There's a lot of goodness going into those. And eventually when the Starship ends up launching, hopefully by the end of this year, maybe the beginning of 2024, we're going to see the larger, massive version 2s, I call them the Maxis, get up into LEO or low Earth orbit. At that point, we're going to see speeds that are going to increase incredibly. We're going to see absolutely no latency. When I say no, I'm thinking latency anywhere between 10 and 15 milliseconds should not be a problem. Right now, we're getting 35 to 45, just to give you an idea. I do believe we're going to see latency go down. And then also what we will end up seeing is the data transfer rates increasing both directions, up speed as well as down speed, and the congestion will no longer be an issue. Why? Because there'll be more satellites overhead. Once again, each satellite can only accommodate so many people in every node as it flies overhead. So when my local park and KOA fills up with campers and RVers and everyone during holidays, well, even though our node went from 100 to 300 people, let's say, using Starlink here, it won't matter anymore because of those satellites overhead could accommodate, let's say, 1,000 people. So we're not going to have to, once again, take that pie and cut it into smaller slices. We just won't have to do it anymore. So I think that the times are going to be more and more exciting. Things are going to get better and better and better over the course of 2024. So if I didn't have Starlink as of today, and once again, I had Viasat or HughesNet or AT&T's garbage DSL or Uverse or any of these other service providers that are just shites, really consider SpaceX Starlink, because I think that you will enjoy it. I think you will thank me for it. Also, I am writing a book, a manual, a pamphlet, a handbook to Starlink. I'm infusing all 200 plus videos, all of my knowledge, my 2 years of working with this thing into this book. And I'm going to put it up online probably within the next 30 days. I'm going through a couple of more edits, and then we're going to put it out to you guys. So hopefully within the next 30 days, you'll be able to pick that up. Follow the channel, follow me over on Instagram, follow me on Facebook, follow me here on YouTube, wherever you like to follow, right? Subscribe to the channel and you will see this. Also in the community posts, as soon as that book is available, I will put it in the community post so you can go and pick it up immediately. There's been so many of you guys asking me to do this, to boil all of it down, all of this knowledge into one spot so you could just kind of go through it. You don't have to watch hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos to get the information because it's already boiled down for you in a small pamphlet, let's say. It's not small anymore. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible, but I run on and on like I'm doing now. Anyways, guys, I hope you've gotten something out of this. I really do appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed this, even the least, throw the video a thumbs up. That's very, very, very helpful. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools that I've invented for you and me over the years. And hopefully there's something there that you might like. And if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.